In the heart of Tokyo's bustling Shibuya district, where skyscrapers loomed over narrow alleys alive with the chatter of street vendors and the glow of neon signs, a modest martial arts dojo stood as a quiet sanctuary. Sensei Tanaka's dojo, a weathered building with creaky wooden floors and faded red lanterns, was a place where tradition met grit. Its walls were lined with photos of past students, their faces frozen in moments of triumph. The air carried the faint scent of incense and liniment. Tonight, the dojo was electric with anticipation. It was hosting its annual Open Challenge Night, a rare event where martial artists from across the city, from scrappy street fighters to disciplined masters, could test their mettle on the mat. The crowd, a mix of locals and curious onlookers, buzzed with excitement, their voices mingling with the rhythmic thump of fists against pads in the warm-up area. Ryuichi, a 28-year-old prodigy in the local kung fu scene, strode into the dojo with the swagger of a man who knew he was untouchable. Lean and wiry with a shaved head and a dragon tattoo snaking up his arm, Ryuichi was a force of nature. He'd mastered Shaolin Kung Fu's explosive power, Hung Gar's brutal precision, and even incorporated Tai Chi's flowing balance into his arsenal. His recent string of victories in regional tournaments had earned him a loyal following. His students, clad in matching black uniforms, trailed him like a pack of eager wolves. Ryuichi's confidence bordered on arrogance. His sharp tongue was as quick as his strikes. Tonight, he was here to solidify his reputation as Japan's next martial arts legend. As he scanned the room, his eyes landed on a lone figure sitting quietly in the corner, sipping tea and chatting with Sensei Tanaka. The man was in his mid-50s, rugged with a shaved head and a weathered face that hinted at a life of hard work. He wore a simple black jacket and jeans, blending into the crowd like any other spectator. Something about him seemed familiar, but Ryuichi dismissed it, assuming he was just another Western tourist drawn to the dojo's reputation. "Who's the old guy?" Ryuichi muttered to his top student, Hiroshi. Hiroshi shrugged and whispered, "Probably some guy who thinks he's tough because he took a karate class once." Ryuichi's lips curled into a smirk. "Perfect. I'll make him regret stepping foot in here." The stranger was Jason Statham, the Hollywood action star in Japan for a film shoot. Few in the room knew that Statham was far more than an actor. A lifelong martial artist, he'd earned a black belt in Kyokushin karate, trained extensively in Wing Chun under a master years ago, and held a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He'd sparred with world-class fighters, performed his own stunts through decades of action films, and carried a quiet discipline that came from years of sweat and sacrifice. Statham hadn't come to fight tonight. He was here to visit Sensei Tanaka, an old friend who'd helped him refine his Wing Chun for a movie role. He preferred to stay low-key, observing the matches with a keen eye. But Ryuichi's loud entrance and cocky demeanor hadn't escaped his notice. The challenge night kicked off with a flurry of action. Fighters took to the mat, their strikes and grapples echoing through the dojo. Ryuichi was the star of the show, dismantling his opponents with breathtaking speed and precision. His first match was against a burly Muay Thai fighter. The man's powerful kicks were no match for Ryuichi's agile footwork and devastating counter-strikes. The crowd roared as Ryuichi landed a spinning back fist, sending his opponent to the mat. His second match, against a local judo expert, ended with a perfectly timed throw that left the judoka dazed. Each victory was punctuated by a theatrical bow and a taunt. "Who's next?" Anyone got the guts, drawing cheers from his students and murmurs from the crowd. Finally, Ryuichi stepped to the center of the mat, sweat gleaming on his brow, his chest heaving with adrenaline. "Come on, Japan," he shouted. "Is this all you've got?" "I'm still standing." His eyes locked onto Statham, who was calmly sipping his tea, seemingly unfazed by the spectacle. Ryuichi saw an opportunity to cement his dominance. Pointing directly at Statham, he sneered. "Hey, you. The old guy in the back. You look like you've seen a fight or two. Why don't you step up? Or are you just here to watch real fighters do their thing?" The dojo fell silent. The air thick with tension. Sensei Tanaka's face tightened, his eyes flicking to Statham with a mix of concern and amusement. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, sensing the provocation. Statham set his tea down slowly, his expression unreadable. "I'm good, mate," he said in his gravelly British accent, leaning back in his chair. "Just here to enjoy the show." Ryuichi laughed, turning to the crowd for effect. Typical foreigner. Thinks he's tough because he watched a martial arts flick once. Probably never thrown a real punch in his life. His students cackled. The crowd joined in with nervous chuckles. Sensei Tanaka leaned toward Statham, his voice low. "You don't have to do this, Jason. He's young. Full of himself. Let him burn out." But Statham's jaw clenched. His eyes narrowed slightly. He'd spent decades training not just for the camera but for the love of martial arts. He'd faced real fighters, taken real hits, and carried the scars to prove it. Ryuichi's words weren't just a personal jab. They were a disrespect to the art itself, to the countless hours of discipline and pain that every true martial artist endured. Statham stood slowly, shrugging off his jacket to reveal a lean, muscular frame that spoke of years of relentless training. "All right," he said, his voice steady but laced with steel. "Let's have a go." The crowd erupted in cheers, sensing something extraordinary was about to unfold. Sensei Tanaka sighed but nodded. He stepped to the center of the mat to set the rules. 3 rounds. Clean sparring. No dirty moves. Stop on my command. Ryuichi grinned, cracking his knuckles. Statham rolled his shoulders, his movements calm and deliberate. The bell rang. The fight began. Ryuichi came out like a storm, launching a barrage of kicks aimed at Statham's legs and torso. His speed was blinding, his technique a seamless blend of Shaolin and Hung Gar, each strike designed to overwhelm. But Statham was a wall of composure. His karate training showed through in his precise footwork, his body swaying just enough to dodge or parry each attack. Ryuichi's high roundhouse kick sliced through the air, but Statham sidestepped. He redirected the momentum with a subtle block that left Ryuichi slightly off balance. The crowd murmured, impressed by the foreigner's calm defense. Frustrated, Ryuichi pressed harder. His kicks faster, his punches sharper. He aimed a spinning heel kick at Statham's head, a move that had knocked out opponents in past matches. The crowd gasped. But Statham ducked under it with ease, countering with a crisp, controlled jab to Ryuichi's chest. The strike wasn't flashy, but it carried the raw power of Kyokushin karate, sending Ryuichi stumbling back. For the first time, doubt flickered in Ryuichi's eyes. This old guy wasn't just lucky, he was skilled. Round 2 saw Ryuichi shift tactics. He closed the distance to use his Wing Chun training. He unleashed a chain of rapid punches, his hands blurring as he aimed to overwhelm Statham with speed. But Statham, who'd studied Wing Chun under a master himself, was ready. He matched Ryuichi's rhythm. His hands flowed like water, redirecting each punch with minimal effort. The crowd watched in awe as the two traded blows, their movements a dance of precision and control. Ryuichi, growing desperate, tried a risky elbow strike, but Statham caught the opening, sweeping Ryuichi's leg and sending him crashing to the mat. The dojo shook with cheers. But Statham didn't gloat. He stepped back, offering a hand to help Ryuichi up. Ryuichi's face burned with humiliation. He swatted the hand away, scrambling to his feet. "You got lucky, old man," he spat, his voice trembling with anger. The crowd sensed the shift. Ryuichi's bravado was cracking. Round 3 was a battle of wills. Ryuichi fought with raw aggression, mixing kung fu strikes with Muay Thai elbows and knees, his frustration boiling over. Statham absorbed the onslaught, his face a mask of focus, his body moving with the efficiency of a seasoned fighter. Then, in a flash, he caught Ryuichi's arm during a sloppy punch, twisting it into a Brazilian jiu-jitsu armbar. With a fluid motion, he brought Ryuichi to the ground, locking the hold just tightly enough to force a tap-out. Ryuichi gasped. His hands slapped the mat as Sensei Tanaka called the match. The dojo fell silent for a heartbeat, then exploded into applause. Statham released the hold and stood, offering a respectful bow. Ryuichi lay there for a moment, catching his breath, his mind racing. He'd been so sure of his superiority, so convinced that no one in the room could touch him. Now, defeated by a man he'd mocked as a nobody, his world felt unsteady. Sensei Tanaka stepped forward. His voice cut through the noise. "This is Jason Statham," he said, a wry smile on his face. "Black belt in karate. Trained in Wing Chun, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and more. You may know him from the movies, but he's no stranger to the mat." The crowd gasped. Some pulled out phones to snap pictures. Others whispered as they recognized the action star. Ryuichi's face paled, the weight of his mistake sinking in. Statham extended a hand again, his expression calm but firm. "No hard feelings, mate. You've got serious skill. Just need a bit more humility to match it." Ryuichi stared at the outstretched hand. His pride warring with the reality of his defeat. The room watched, holding its breath. Finally, Ryuichi took the hand and shook it. His grip tight, but his eyes downcast. It was a small gesture, but it carried the weight of a lesson hard learned. As the crowd began to disperse, Sensei Tanaka clapped Statham on the shoulder. "You didn't have to do that, Jason," he said, his voice warm with pride. "But I'm glad you did. That boy needed to be brought down a peg." Statham shrugged, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Sometimes the best way to teach is to show." He glanced at Ryuichi, who was now surrounded by his students, their usual cheers replaced by hushed questions. Statham felt no malice toward the young fighter, just a quiet hope that the loss would spark growth. Ryuichi lingered in the dojo long after most of the crowd had left. He sat on the mat, staring at the faded wooden floor, replaying the fight in his mind. Each move, each mistake, burned in his memory. His students hovered nearby, unsure what to say. They expected anger, maybe excuses. But Ryuichi was quiet. His usual bravado replaced by something new, reflection. He'd underestimated his opponent, assumed his youth and local fame made him invincible. But Statham's skill, his calm, his respect for the art had exposed a truth Ryuichi hadn't faced before. True strength wasn't in never losing. It was in learning from every fight, every failure. As he stood, his students watched him closely. "Tomorrow," he said, his voice steady, but softer than usual. "We train harder. No shortcuts. No ego." His students nodded, sensing the shift in their leader. For Ryuichi, the defeat stung, but it also lit a fire. A hunger to improve. To respect the art and its practitioners, no matter their background or fame. Outside, Statham walked through the humid Tokyo night, the city's pulse thrumming around him. He didn't care about the whispers or the photos now circulating online. For him, the fight wasn't about proving a point, it was about honoring the discipline that had shaped him. As he disappeared into the neon-lit streets, the dojo behind him stood as a testament to the night's lesson, a clash of action, logic, and raw emotion, where two fighters from different worlds met and both walked away changed.